Yeah, today we see the most important concept. Every application needs this. Okay, that is web services. How to interact with web server and pull the information and display it. There are a couple of points which are involved to pull the information from the server. What is web service? Web service is a way of exchanging data over network between two or more applications, two or more clients. Web services is a way of interacting with remote web server that provides data for the application. For an application. The web services to interact with the web server, these are the various things which involved. This is the application. This is our server. The server contains database. The server contains data storage. Our application sends the request to the server. Server processes the request and pulls the information from the database and sends back to the application. The application finally displays it. To send the request, we need to have URL request. We need to have one request. We need to prepare the request by using URL request class. URL request is a class. And to send that request, we use URL session. This is the class which we use to send the request. Server processes the request. So these things we do not deal with. Server is the backend team deals with that. They simply provide this is the request which you need to hit. From the client, we need to prepare that request and send the prepared request by using URL session. At the server side, that will be processed and the server understands what exactly the client is requested and pulls the requested information from the database and sends back either in the form of JSON or XML. These two are the data notations, data representations. These two sends either JSON or XML. The server sends JSON or XML. And the client receives the JSON or XML and converts the JSON or XML into Swift objects or data models, we can say. Okay, to convert the JSON or XML into the application understandable language or application understandable objects. We're having classes NS JSON serialization, JSON decoder, basically codable. Codable is a protocol which we use to convert the JSON or XML data into application understandable language, application understandable objects. What are the different collections we are having? We have string, arrays, dictionary sets. Those are the collections. String is also known as collection, we can say, collection of characters, basically. Basically, the server returns some information that will be in the form of JSON or XML. Again, that will be converted client understandable format by using codable protocol or JSON decoder, you can say. JSON serialization also we have. These are the various classes which we use. The same story again here, URL request, which we need to prepare the request. URL session, URL connection was old. Alarmifier is Swift API. If you want to can use. EF networking is again old. We don't use these two actually right now. These two are deprecated already. URL session error or alarmifier. And the server passes the request and prepares the response. The server prepared response, either JSON format or XML format, will be sent over the network to the client. The client parses the response. Parsing means converting. Parses the response using JSON serialization or codable. Codable is JSON decoder or JSON encoder and presence on the user interface. What server contains? Server contains a collection of resources or records which contain specific address to access them. Google.com. Google.com is also a server. Google.com/Gmail. Gmail is one resource. YouTube is another resource. Drive is another resource. Different resources the server contains. So to access each resource, it contains a specific address, specific IP address, a specific path, we can say. The communication between client and server happens in two different ways. So the APIs which the backend provides are two categories. One is RESTful, another one is SOAP. RESTful and SOAP web services are two types. The architecture what they follow at backend are two types. One is RESTful or another one is SOAP. RESTful supports both JSON and the XML, but it is lightweight. Preparing the request is very simple. Whereas SOAP is completely XML. Actually, people are not using XML. Only 1 or 2% people uses XML, and rest everybody is using SOAP now. That is RESTful now, which by using JSON. Here, the difference between SOAP and RESTful are very, very important. SOAP is completely XML based and it is heavyweight. Preparing the request is difficult. Even understanding the response is difficult. Whereas RESTful supports JSON and XML, but it is lightweight. REST and SOAP are architectures implemented at server side. But as iOS developers, we don't care how the entire REST architecture works on the server side. What is our requirement here? We just need to prepare the request. We just need to follow the 3 steps here. First step is preparing the request. Second one is sending. Third one is once we receive it, parse it, finally display it. Parsing, displaying. These are the 4 things which we need to do as a client. See here, this is the sample API. It contains some address and some version number. It may or may not be contained. This is everything contains this thing. The IP address 192.168.1.1, something different IP address. Each website contains different IP address. This is mapped one. For the IP address, they have given some name. Even google.com contains some IP address. Instead of directly providing you the IP address cannot be remembered, right? 190 you cannot differentiate. If we are having numbers cannot be differentiated clearly. So they are having their own name. This is called host and path, which resource you want to access, whether you want to access Google Drive or Gmail or YouTube or Sheets, whatever. This is the path, which resource you want to access. And these are the query parameters, we can say. Query parameters are on that particular resource, what exactly you need. On that particular, these are some conditions, we can say. Let's say there are 100 books in library. If you simply call mylibrary.com/books, you get 100 books. If you call mylibrary.com/books, price equal to 100 rupees. Only you get few books which are 100 rupees. These are query parameters, what exactly you need. If you simply call questions, you get all questions. If you provide here order, descending order, and site equal to Stack Overflow, only provide me the questions in descending order. The questions are from Stack Overflow. Okay, a URL has different parts, but in the context of REST API, we are usually interested in just 3. The host is the IP address or the host name, which is usually a name, sometimes the IP address that identifies the other endpoint we are going to reach through the network. A path which identifies the resources we are looking for. An optional query parameters to express extra parameters we might need for our request. Basically, the query parameters are completely depending on us. If you want, you can pass, otherwise you can ignore. If you ignore, what happens is it returns you complete questions. If there are 1,000 questions, all 1,000 will be returned. If you put some constants, order you have put and some site equals so and so Stack Overflow. In this case, what happens is it provides you the filters. It filters out. How to prepare the request? By using NS URL session, we prepare the request. Okay, the requests are again different things. One is get, post, delete, put, patch. These are the various things. See here, an HTTP request usually contains a URL for the resource which we want, and a HTTP method to state the action we want to perform. Action here. See here, to get the information, we use get. To delete the information, we use delete. We see, I'll show you how exactly to set up. Actually, the URL is google.com/pages, google.com/records, let's say. URL is same for fetching the information. URL is same for the getting the information, and posting, deleting, everything is same. Only the method we need to differentiate to perform specific operation based on the method type you provide at client side. Anyways, this you cannot understand now. We'll see it practically. Optional parameters. If you want to pass any parameters, you can pass some optional data. If you want to send some information to the server, like a login form or image. If you want to send some information to the server, okay, we can send some information as well. Here, some request also contains authorization. Authorization. See here, this is the get. This is the index.html. Post. Post is this is example.com. Example.com. And index.html is the file which you want to access. Authorization means all people, all public cannot access it. Only whoever is having access, they only can access it. Whoever logs into the facebook.com Facebook application, they only can access their profile. If I want to access your profile, I cannot access it, because I am authorized to access my profile but not yours. Okay, some actually basic authorization code, it comes from the server. We need to send that to make sure that I am the user which I want to access it. The authorization code sometimes expires. It contains some time interval. In a REST API call, we usually use a subset of HTTP methods for the actions we need to perform. These are the different things which we perform. Some APIs can also use put or delete verbs, although it depends on how the API designed. Basically, API, this is very, very important. The way the APIs are designed at the backend, based on that, we need to set the method type. Basically, all these things are given by your from your backend. Okay, what is the URL? What is the authorization code which you want to send? How the authorization should be, and what are the query parameters which we need to pass? Okay, what is the HTTP method to perform so particular action? Everything is given by the backend team. They give you some documentation. I'll also show you if you have something. You always have to check the documentation. Yeah, it is given already here. You always have to check the documentation to be sure to which URL we need to hit, what is the information it is requesting, what we can expect from it, what is the method we need to set, what is the information which we need to post. Everything is given in the API's document, which is provided by your own team, backend team. This is how we prepare the request. We see how to do that practically. Send the request to the server. Rest of the things are same. URL session contains URL session object creates a session and it takes a task as a parameters. URL session contains 3 different tasks. URL session performs 3 different tasks. One is data task, download task, upload task. Based upon your requirement, we use the data task, download task, or upload task. Data task means which pulls the information from the server, that is data, and you can directly use in the application. Whereas download task actually directly downloads the information to the disk, to the disk means the hard disk of the iPhone in the RAM, ROM actually. Upload task, it uploads the file to the server from the ROM. how exactly to use the URL session is the thing. And after using the URL session, we get the response back from the server. We need to pass that. That is either in JSON or XML format, right? We need to, for XML parser, for parsing the XML, we have NS XML parser. And Swift JSON is the Swift JSON or object mapper or third-party libraries which you want, you can use. JSON decoder and JSON encoder are from portable protocol. Native, this is native. JSON serialization deprecated, which is again native. Okay, we can use these two actually. Okay, networking. Basically, we can have a separate class for the network. Enter calls. In one application, you can have n number of calls. Instead of writing everything in the view controller, what we can do is we can have separate class, networking or HTTP client or API handler, some different names. And all the requests will be processed from here. And once you get the response, that will be sent back to the view controller. Any doubts here? We see that practically. Same thing here on the documentation. Sending the request, a SOAP request or XML REST request. Server passes the response request and prepares the response and sends back to the client in the form of XML or JSON. The client parses the response and displays on the user interface. Response formats again XML, JSON, XML parser, portable, JSON serialization. JSON format, this is how the JSON format looks like. Kind of dictionary only, key value, key value, key value. Only collections, either dictionary, kind of dictionary or array. This is XML format. This understanding XML format is difficult actually. URL session. There are three different types of tasks: data task, download task, and upload task. How to prepare the request and send that and get the response. This is the data task you are performing by using URL session. Complete information about what exactly we need here. Any doubts? Let's see if we have any URLs, sample URLs. Yeah, here we are having list users. This is the URL. Let's see. This is get method. List users. Yeah, users, and in page number 2. This is the response which we are getting. Okay, this is the response which is in JSON format. Basically, when there are when there is huge data, let's say there are 1,000 records, you will not pull the 1,000 records at a time. You will pull first 12, first 10 records. Once user scrolls down, we pull the other 10 records. Like each page, if it is 1,000, if it is having 1,000 records, the server maintains pagination. The server maintains paginations. Okay, there we need to pass page number as well. Here in page number 2, per page I want 6 records. Total records for now is 12 records, and total pages is 12. Okay, total pages are 2. Total records 12 are there. Total pages are 2. If you put 3, it won't work here. Single user. If you want to get the information about the single user, this is how we pull the information about the single user. Single user not found. If you try to get, if you want to simulate, not 23 user 23 is not there. So you get 404 error. List some resources. Yeah, we can try list users or a single user. I want to pull the single user information. Okay, how to pass that? Here it is. What is the API here? API /user/user ID, which we need to pass here. user ID, which we need to pass here. The entire request is, let me show you. This is the entire request. Requires that request dot in API / users / user ID. If you simply call the extra parameter which we are not passing here, sometimes the server tells you pass like this. Sometimes you can directly pass the value. If there is only one value we are passing here, right? Only two value, only value 2 we are passing. So it is not required. If there are multiple values, you might be asked user ID equal to 2 and name equal to DN. Okay, if you're having multiple parameters, multiple query parameters, this is how they expect. The server expects. Maybe ID equal to works. No. ID. This is what the response what we get. Here, let's see how to do the same operation here. I want to pull the information from the server. This is the application, basic application. And let me take UI view, A button. Fetch user details, let's say. I'm going to have a method here. IB action. One fetch user input. This is the method. Okay, this is network request. Let me create separate class from now itself. Command N takes Swift class. HTTP client class HTTP client, where the HTTP client here we are having only one view controller. In one application, we can have n number of view controllers. Instead of creating the HTTP client object everywhere, what we can do is we can make it static. Let's see. Let's try. Let shared equal to HTTP client private unit empty. Okay. Our function is fetch user info. User ID we need, which is integer, which is expecting. Okay. From here, when user clicks on button, I can call HTTP client that shared that fetch user info. The user info is 2 at present. User info is 2. We still need something to do. We use delegates and closures as well. That's it. And HTTP client, what it needs to do? It needs to perform step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Let's create the request first. What is the request here? Let request string equal to, this is the string, right? This is the string. At the end, instead of passing to, what I pass is I pass user ID. This is our request string. Let me create a URL request. URL request, we need to create URL request object. That is a string. I can say endpoint. This is the endpoint which we want to hit. URL request, which is expecting URL. Let's create URL from the string endpoint. URL request is created. Then we need to send it to the server by using URL session. Okay, make sure it is having something. we need to get URL session. URL session equal to URL session dot shared. Session object is created. Now you can ask the session to perform the request. URL session dot data task with request. Data task with request. What is the request? URL request, and it is processed. Once it is successful, or once that is processed and completed processing, it is returning back data and response and error. Either you get data, response, or anyways you get either error or data you get. But we need to make sure that if there is no error, then only go inside and print the data. Print data. Else print error. And this is how we are. What is this? Error not equal to error not equal to data. If error equal to nil, error equal to nil means error is 0. 0 means you have not received any error, you have received data. It does mean that you have received some data. Okay. Otherwise, you have received some error. And finally, URL session URL session dot resume. This is the method which you're initiating. Okay, here URL session dot resume. Resume is a method which you need to call to start the processing. Once it is started processing, after the request is processed, server pulls the information from the database and prepares the response and sends back. This is the sending back. This is number 2. This is number 1. Step number 1. Here, step number 3 is done by the URL session at the server side. Step number 4 is sending back. We are receiving here, sending back the information, and we need to pass it. Number 5 need to be performed here. Okay, it is bringing some information and displaying here. Let's see. Let's try now. Here I'm sending 2 here. Let me take a text field and see. Here text field. Where I take user ID. I evaluated week where text field, here text field. Here we need to read the information from the text field. Let text equal to text field dot text, comma, let user ID equal to, converting that into the integer. If it is not successful, means printing invalid user ID. Perfect. Let's give the connections. View controller. One is text field. Another one is button action. Run it. That is file here. We are not using the user ID here. Let's use the user ID instead of hard coding. When directly put the values, that is called hard coding. Let us use the auto layout as well. I'm setting top is 30, 20, 20, 20 here. And for this, I'll just make vertically some space between the text field and the button and keep this horizontally center. I'm just trying to pull the information from the user ID 1. Let's see if it is successful or fail first thing. Yeah, we received information 280 bytes we received. We tried printing the information which we have got, but it is printed as like this optional 280 bytes. This is in the form of data actually. You need to convert this data. The JSON or XML is actually sent back as data. You need to convert that data into our objects. We know what is the response we get here. We are going to get this kind of response. It is a kind of dictionary we are getting. Key value based, right? It is kind of a dictionary we are getting. Let's try to convert that by using. We need to convert that into the JSON. We are having two classes, right? What are those? One is JSON serialization. Let us use JSON serialization. Then we are also having portable. Let us use serialization first. Parsing. Let JSON data equal to JSON serialization. JSON object. JSON object with data. What is the data we are having? This is the data. And mark this as anyways. Let's try this. JSON data. Okay. Print JSON data. This actually might give you some exception. Exception means some failures. First thing is data is available. You need to use optional binding actually. Data available. Second thing is we're just trying it. We are just trying it. This is called exception handling actually. You're just trying. Means if data is proper, then only it gives you invalid conversion. Yeah, let's see this. Are you happy now? Not happy. Anyways, we are just trying it. Try means just to try if it is possible. Basically, when we use try is the line of code which we are writing here is dangerous. It might give you some unexpected results. In such cases, we use try. We definitely has to use try. The method name itself shows you throw something. It throws something bad. Exception handling we have not dealt. We see that as well. Okay, and let me check this first. URL session. URL session dot data task with a request. URL request. We're getting some error and just modifying to resolve this error. Same thing I'm going to write here. URL request and data response error. Take anything. URL session, but resume. Why the resume is not working here? Here, take this everything. Can't put it here. What is this? Invalid conversion to data wide. Invalid conversion from throwing function of type data throws wide to non-throwing function. Yeah, let's try this. Should be. Is it fixing? Not fixing. I'll tell you what exactly it is. Yeah, perfect. Basically, whenever we are using try write, we need to use these two blocks. Okay, now you are accessing that resume. Yes, we need to rejoin. Okay, it is less than a minute. Please rejoin.